let's explore whether meditation methods really work. This evening's lesson is drawn from a good-hearted question found on Reddit, which begins, moksha versus nirvana, or if you prefer English, liberation versus cessation. What does moksha have to offer? And what does nirvana have to offer? Like, what constitutes both? I know they release you from the cycle of death and rebirth and put an end to suffering and also entail bliss. But is there anything else? Please go in depth on these two states of consciousness, for I'm trying to decide whether I should become a Hindu or a Buddhist. All right. Oh, coordination, do not fail me now. Let us start with broad brushstrokes. First, I want to make sure that the display is working adequately. Okay, here we go. In his commentary to Essence of Refined Gold, the 14th Dalai Lama explained that every Lama is his own sect. I think that could be applied to Hinduism as well. And since it seems an impossibility to interview every single teacher, and even if you did, there'd be no guarantee they were accurate or truthful. We must find a simpler method. And I'd like to touch on that after I do something that Desi Arnaz referred to as splanning. I find there's a lot of confusion when it comes to meditation, and I find that confusion can be clarified when viewed through the lens of neuroscience. So let's do that right now. So let's begin with the Four Noble Truths. Ask a biologist, and they'll confirm that there are stressors. Some are circumstantial, some are physical, some are interpersonal, and some are mental. Our capacity to perceive stress is not a flaw, it's a feature. Our capacity to perceive stress allows us to react to stress. In a universe hostile to life, being able to perceive stressors and react to them is the difference between survival and extinction. So we have evolved mechanisms to not only perceive stress, but to react to it. And so let's look at our primal drives. For sake of simplicity, we can say that in our underbrain, there are two reward systems. A pleasure-driven, dopamine-oriented reward system and a fulfillment-driven oxytocin-oriented reward system. These two reward systems are at odds. The former is about competition, and the second is about cooperation. Now, if a hungry bear is determined to kill you, that's probably not the best time to open up negotiations with the bear and discuss its feelings. It's time to haul ass. So that's when the competition instincts really kick in. The instincts to shove or reach or cling. There is a time and place when they are remarkably beneficial. Now, they make great tools, but terrible tyrants. When our survival mechanisms, when our competition mechanisms define our choices and our utterances and our deeds, there's no room left for fulfillment. There's no room left to be the people that our dogs already think we are. The liberation the Buddha offers us is not liberation from the presence of our competitive impulses, but rather from their tyranny, so that we can be healthy, happy, well-adjusted adults. Sadly, that is, for the last 10,000 years, since the Neolithic Revolution, it's been more of a rarity. According to the Four Noble Truths, the most efficient way to accomplish this liberation is by getting so good at our practice of the Eightfold Path that we practice it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively, and we call that mastery. So I promised you some neuroscience, didn't I? And so far, the only thing I did was just give you a thumbnail sketch of our of our reward systems that operate in tandem. Let's take a closer look at the Eightfold Path. One of the great ironies of the Eightfold Path is that the real dynamo of this path is the Seventh Fold's mindfulness and the Eighth Fold's meditation. Practice these two effectively, at least for 5 minutes every 12 hours or so. And the remainder of the Eightfold Path will take care of itself. 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path pertains to loving kindness. The highest love is spontaneous and uncontrived. When our choices, utterances, and deeds flow in the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity, we experience the effortless effort of joy-centered spontaneity. When we practice mindfulness correctly, noticing impermanence, the same impermanence that makes of clinging a folly and absurdity, not only becomes effortless, but becomes inevitable. We cannot help but notice changes. Changes in that which we see, changes in that which we hear, changes in that which we feel, changes in that which we taste, changes in that which we smell, and the like. We also notice changes in our emotions from moment to moment, changes in our intentions, changes in our thoughts. One moment we're planning a menu for tomorrow night's dinner, the next moment we are cursing politicians. Not only do our thoughts change moment to moment, but so do our recollections, so do our imaginings. So the entirety of the Eightfold Path and all its potency is released simply by the practice and mastery of mindfulness and meditation. So that's where I'd really like to take a deeper look when it comes to neuroscience. This is where the rubber meets the road. Oh, look at this. Hey, Kevin. To you I give a Yoda high five. And I also share it with your partner and your pets. So, Sturgeon's Law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, but not in the fun, tingly way. We see that in the 81 poems of the Tao Te Ching, that 90% of folks seem to think that being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel is Jim Dandy. Yes, even the majority of meditation teachers, only a minority of which feel that it's wonderful to be flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. So what are the consequences of allowing the idea of being rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel to influence our style of meditation and contemplation? Glad you asked. When we are asked to actively meditate or actively contemplate, the only tissues, the only discrete mechanisms within our brain that are capable of doing that are mechanisms such as the medial prefrontal cortex or the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Now, listen, man, the prefrontal cortex is Jim Dandy. If you want to compare, if you want to contrast, if you want to sort, if you want to calculate, if you want to analyze, if you want to reason, if you want to edit, then the prefrontal cortex, that's your boy. But ask any performance coach, they will tell you there is a law of diminishing results where if you work any system of our body too hard for too long without sufficient recovery, you will experience reduced, what's the word I'm looking for? You'll experience gross inefficiencies. For instance, overwork your prefrontal cortex and your amygdala activates, seat of aggression and anxiety. These two together, abusing the abuse of the prefrontal cortex and the amygdalic consequences are going to make you even more rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. And nobody wants that. So how's about some good news? Well, our central nervous system, fortunately, is composed of more than just these two bits. The seventh fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path is mindfulness. And did you know that every time you inhale, whether you know it or not, whether you mean to or not, you are wired by evolution to access your sympathetic nervous system? Located in the middle third of our spinal cord, this bad boy has evolved to help us to perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Now, doesn't that sound like yin? Doesn't that sound like walking in the footsteps of the Buddha? Doesn't that sound like being flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind? I think it does. So, just as there are nuggets of our central nervous system that can make us rigid and miserable, there are parts that can make us flexible and laid back. Think of the dude from The Big Lebowski. Well, that's going back a few decades, isn't it? Now, into each life some rain must fall, and I must give you a cautionary tale. And here it comes. We are wired to notice. Well, no duh. We are wired to notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. We are also wired to notice emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. We are wired to notice all spectrum, all ranges of phenomena, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. And that can feel a little overwhelming. So how about some more good news? As you may remember, the eighth fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path is meditation. And every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are already wired to access our parasympathetic nervous system, located in both the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to help us physically relax as well as mentally release. Now, remember we talked about that amygdala, the seat of aggression, anxiety, and that really, really helps us to be rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. Remember that? Well, check this out. Train effectively in mindfulness and meditation at least 5 minutes every 12 hours or so. And you will notice, number one, your amygdala settling down. Number two, you will witness your anterior cingulate gyrus asserting itself. This thing that kind of looks like a baseball mitt functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy and compassion and love. As I mentioned previously, the greatest Dzogchen Lamas of Tibet have agreed that the highest love is spontaneous and uncontrived. The more we train effectively in mindfulness and meditation, the more our choices, utterances, and deeds will flow in the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. Regardless of which language you use, regardless of which labels you use, these are universally recognized as really wonderful things. In the penultimate passage, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, in the penultimate passage of the Satipatthana Sutta, there is a delicious promise that one could master the Buddha's Eightfold Path in less than 7 years, or 7 quarters, or 7 months, or 7 fortnights, or 7 weeks, or even 7 days. If your teacher won't help you do that, if your teacher can't help you do that, then find one who can. The test of a teacher is not the sociological system that produced his set of techniques. The test of a teacher is the effectiveness of his techniques. You're probably, I don't know if you're as old as me, but when I was a little boy, I saw my share of commercials, and one of them said, I went to the restaurant. I never had stuffed peppers. I asked the waiter what they're like. He said, try it. You'll like it. I tried it. I didn't like it. I think it was a Pepto-Bismol commercial. Anywho, here's the thing. When you come across someone who claims to be a meditation teacher, if they seem kind and wise, receive a technique from them. It's simple. And then apply that technique once every 12 hours or so. After 7 consecutive days, jot down the results you see, whether they are negative or positive. If you feel that they are negative, then go find a better teacher. If you feel that they are positive, then continue working with their teacher for as long as they're able to help you. Ideally, you want someone who can help you to master not only the path of mindfulness and meditation, but also the path of love, effortless effort, and the wisdom of letting go. All of that can be done remarkably easily and quickly. If someone tells you it's difficult, if someone tells you it can't be done in 1 lifetime or in a dozen lifetimes, thank them for their time and then get out of Dodge, because this person is not going to be able to help you as much as you'd like to be helped. So that's it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. What are the benefits of moksha or liberation or nirvana or cessation? It's simply liberation from the tyranny of our survival mechanisms, relegating them from the role of tyrant to the role of tool. Because, it's better to use a tool than to be a tool. Oh, thank you very much. Well, I'll tell you what, I would really enjoy practicing with you together, as a team. After approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping, this is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you won't have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Tonight, I think it would be great fun for us to play with the latest iteration of the Spaciousness of Vajrasattva, composed by Prahe Vajra, translated by Yeshe Dundan, amplified and adapted by yours truly. All right. Please chant with me. Supreme wisdom is difficult to realize except by way of wisdom itself. Dependence on others is merely notional, since bliss actually arises naturally from within. So let's take a deeper dive. Supreme wisdom is difficult to realize except by the way of wisdom itself. So in other words, active analysis leads not to transcendental wisdom. Relaxing in harmony with our exhalation does. We are already wired for liberation, cessation, and enlightenment. And although it can be useful it can be beneficial to work with other people's advice, it is not mandatory, and it is most certainly not magical, despite the fantasies of superstition. So here's a funny thing. Some people say, well, I prayed that my Lama would sit above the crown of my head and I felt bliss there. And I prayed that my Lama would come to my heart and I felt bliss there too. That must be magic. No, it's not. Words lead intention. Intention leads mind. Mind leads energy. If you say scalp, 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 you'll feel something there. If you say heart, 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 you'll feel something here. No magic involved. So this is something that I find truly heartbreaking. Allow me to. So we said during class that 90% of everything sucks. Well, 90% of meditation teachers who claim to be Dzogchen masters This is the fundamental text of Dzogchen. And they live their lives contradicting it, sometimes deliberately, usually out of lazy-mindedness. And it's heartbreaking. And so one of the things I love about this author in this text is he presents a swift, easy, and complete path to enlightenment. So what I'd like to do now, oopsie, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, oopsie, 7, 8, there it is. Allow me to behold the splendor of editing during class, eh, kids? Now, let's meditate. As we silently, mentally, and passively recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we can kick back and watch the antics of mind as it perceives, emotes, intends, reasons, recalls, and imagines, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly, and fleetingly. As we silently, mentally, and passively recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we can relax into the non-graspable nature of mind. Oh, that's what's going on. I need to adjust something on my phone. Let's see here. Let's go to... Okay. Please chant with me. And yet the miraculous is not beyond our recognition. The bliss generated by letting go is just the beginning. For our natural aversion and avarice guide the spontaneous fulfillment of wishes. In an apparent manner that flows from inhalations, from exhalations, relaxation and release. That doesn't seem right. Let's try that again. Together, due to intuitive insight into the natural state. Our innate capacities and spiritual powers come to the fore naturally from our own inner depths. Well, that's odd, isn't it? Mindfulness seems to access a primal survival power driving our fears and hopes. That is unleashed through meditations, relaxation, and release. So in other words, we don't have to force manifesting. All we have to do is step out of the way and watch it unfold in the best way and in the best timing. Oof. Please chant with me. Real meditation is effortless letting go in the true condition. The reason it is effortless to so relax into our exhalation that what we noticed during our previous inhalation feels as non-graspable as a vast empty void is because each exhalation grants us an automatic access to our parasympathetic nervous system. So if I was really clever, what I would do right now is reach over here for more of the old click and cut and paste. And I would copy an image of our parasympathetic nervous system. And I would paste it there. Let's continue with the old chanteroni. Whoops. Let's recapture the momentum. Real meditation is effortless letting go in the true condition. This true condition never appears for us as something which can be seen. Striving to grasp it, we prevent the recognition of its true nature. Striving is a symptom of the controlling tendencies that are our default mode when our fear center controls one's choices, utterances, and deeds. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is find a diagram representing the nasty old amygdala and hit copy and hit paste and then resize it. Whoopsie. I guess what I should also do is hit the wrap text function . Real meditation is effortless letting go in the true condition. This true condition never appears to us as something which can be seen. Striving to grasp it, we prevent the recognition of its true nature. So striving is a symptom of the controlling tendencies that are the default mode when our amygdalas, anxiety and aggression center controls our choices, utterances, and deeds, whereas allowing, instead, is a sign we're following with empathies, centered spontaneity. So that's right, folk. It's war between the amygdala and the anterior cingulate gyrus. Come, let us meditate. So, let's talk about hand jive. There are 3 levels of hand jive. Let's talk about the first one right now, and it's about tapping into different energy centers. So we're right now in this part of this evening's live stream. We're in our 3rd meditation. And I want to subject you right now to jumbo face, which is, I'm told, is a war crime. So let's see. Welcome to jumbo face. Please wear protective eyewear. So this is my right hand, and this is the great knuckle at the base of each finger. So when my hands are in my lap, like we see in the Buddhist statues. My hands are in my lap, and the tip of my left little finger is supporting the great knuckle at the base of my right little finger. That helps us to plug into the energy center of our lower abdomen, where the womb would be. When we during our second set of meditations, when we rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger, that accesses the energetic center at our navel, or our mid-abdomen. And right now what we can do is rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger upon the tip of our left middle finger. And that will plug into the energetic center at our heart, our chest. Now, is this something you have to believe? No. Is this something you have to memorize? No. Some people find it helpful. I find it helpful. Perhaps you could as well. Okay, I'm going to tap button 9. Let's meditate. Let's chant. Nor can the supreme secrecy of the primal continuum be revealed by hearing about it. Nor can words reveal its nature even in the barest measure. Ah, that was an error, wasn't it? Okay. Whoops, wrong one again. Such is life. Nor can the supreme secrecy of the primal continuum be revealed by hearing about it. Nor can words reveal its nature even in the barest measure. So this is a radical teaching from the school of sudden enlightenment, which Buddha taught that full enlightenment can be accomplished in a week. It doesn't have to take multiple lifetimes. So the supreme secrecy of the primal continuum simply means this. Just as the tectonic plates of the earth float upon a sea of lava, although I think it's called magma, although the tectonic plates of the earth float upon a sea of magma, likewise, that magma can be considered the continuum upon which the tectonic plates float. Similarly, the ultimate nature of all things being its own phenomena lies hidden like the sea of magma underneath the tectonic plates. As we breathe in, due to our sympathetic nervous system, and as we notice, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, all that we notice seems permanent, seems tangible, seems like it identifies us or like it is defining. However, as we relax into our exhalation, thanks to the wiring of our parasympathetic nervous system, our body relaxes, our mind releases, and that which we noticed during the previous inhalation seem less permanent, seem less tangible, seem less defining. Does that mean our problems are gone? No. Does it make it easier to cope with the slings of arrows of outrageous fortune? Yeah, sure, you betcha. So, I can sit here and talk till I'm blue in the face. I could quote to you ancient Shastras written in India, but that will pale in contrast to the amount of wisdom you will get simply from cooperating with the two facets of our autonomic nervous system. Simply by cooperating with our sympathetic nervous system to practice the heroic vulnerability to notice whatever comes up. Whether it's external or internal, physical or mental, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque. And then in the midst of that scary, scary stuff, it seems counterintuitive to physically relax and mentally release in harmony with our exhalation. Practice that courage, and you can master the Buddha's path this week. So, how's about a bit of the old hand jive? This time we can plug into our crown in a manner that is as simple as resting the great knuckle of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger in my lap. Your lap too, if you wish. That sounded far too salacious. Oh, yes, there's one more thing I wanted to show you. I'm trying not to give OBS a nervous breakdown. That's a software I'm using to live stream. So, that was hand jive level 1. Now, hand jive level 2 is we can count 12 rounds on just 4 fingers and 1 thumb of our right hand. Let's pretend a round is simply 1 inhalation followed by 1 exhalation. During each inhalation, we could slide the tip of our right thumb to one of the creases on one of our fingers. With 3 sets of creases upon each of our 4 fingers, that's a grand total of 12. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 and a third hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class, as well as group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.